Hello, friends. The new infantry recruits of the Azov Assault Brigade are receiving training to assault positions as part of their training process. It is noteworthy that they mainly use full foliage type camouflage to achieve better blending with the environment. Also, the unit indicates that they have been provided with EOTech holographic sight systems, which were donated by allied countries, and these have been mounted on German Naval MK-556 rifles with suppressors. In summary, an excellent quality equipment that reflects the defenders' concern to provide their fighters with the best possible equipment to accomplish their mission. A wounded Ukrainian fighter needed to be urgently evacuated to a medical facility, so his comrades sent him on a ground drone. On the way, the vehicle was attacked and immobilized by a strike drone from the horde, forcing the wounded man to try to take cover in the vegetation. At that moment, the invaders sent another drone to finish off the defender. This was prevented thanks to the intervention of a mosquito, which destroyed the attacker in the air. I hope the wounded man was finally evacuated. On the technological front, the company Firebolt Engineering confirmed on July 6 that its Mosquito jet interceptor, Griffin, successfully destroyed a Russian Jiran 2 kamikaze drone during the massive overnight attack that morning. The action was validated by the Ukrainian Air Defense Command and represents the first confirmed destruction of a Shahed by a Ukrainian jet interceptor drone. The attack took place amid one of Russia's largest recent assaults, which involved 68 missiles and 351 drones of various types, resulting in at least 17 civilian deaths and dozens of injuries. This is important because the Horde has started using the new generation of Jiran 4 jet drones, which are faster and therefore harder to hit for the propeller-driven interceptors currently used by the defenders. The new version of the Shahed, equipped with Chinese jet engines, is capable of exceeding 350 kilometers per hour, which is more than twice the speed of the previous propeller models that usually fly at 180 kilometers per hour. Flying at high altitude and high speed, the Russian Raiders are very difficult for the ground-launched propeller-driven interceptors to hit. That's why the Griffin comes at the right moment. The propeller-equipped Shahed reaches roughly twice the speed of earlier propeller-driven models. The Shahed can reach an interception speed of over 350 kilometers per hour, flying at an altitude of 7,500 meters, with a range of up to 120 kilometers. Launched by catapult, it is capable of flying for 20 minutes at high speed. If it does not find its target, it can land and be reused. Its unit cost is $9,000, making it a good option to intercept the Shahed, which has an estimated cost of $50,000. Let's continue with things that fly. And I have to admit that at first I thought this information was clickbait, but after researching more, I realized it's real. Since the Ukrainian Defense Innovation Platform, Brave 1, is driving a line of technological development to incorporate what seem to be Airbikes or aero buggies, I'm not really sure what to call them, which are single-seat multi-copters designed to quickly transport soldiers to short-distance targets. The project was announced by the program director during the Brave 1 Advantage event. The idea behind these platforms would be to allow for the rapid and stealthy deployment of troops, avoiding the need to cross minefields or use supply routes patrolled by Russian Mosquito drones. The initiative is based on the use of lightweight electric multicopters, like the Polish Volonot Airbike, which recently conducted a demonstration in Ukraine, traveling across different terrains. These airbikes could return to base autonomously after dropping off personnel. Brave 1 believes that these systems offer a viable alternative to insertion on foot, or the use of vehicle convoys, which are vulnerable to artillery and drones. While the project is still in an exploratory phase, those in charge point out that these systems could significantly increase unit mobility, reduce soldiers' exposure during rotations, and could redefine tactics for infantry units. But what do you think? Leave your opinion in the comment box. On the naval front, this looks like something straight out of a World War II movie. You know, when Allied convoys crossed the North Atlantic under the threat of German submarines. In this case, Ivan decided to send a convoy of supply ships across the Sea of Azov during the early hours of July 7th to deliver fuel to the besieged Russian garrison on the peninsula. The idea was apparently to gather such a large group of ships that, even if some were attacked in transit, most would manage to reach their destination. However, Ukrainian reconnaissance identified the convoy, and the commanders correctly interpreted their intentions, so they called on the Mosquitoes from multiple units to carry out one of the largest joint maritime interdiction operations by Ukrainian drones to date. According to the 414th Magyar's Birds Brigade and Commander Robert Magyar Brovdi, the operators of the Kairos Battalion carried out the attack against 8 fuel tankers, a dry cargo ship, and a ferry, all of which belonged to the Shadow Fleet and were subject to international sanctions. Among the identified tankers are the Venera 3, the Sanar 1, the Sanar 17, the Klimin, the Tady, the Alexei Sabrasov, and the Penelope. The 8th one's name remains unknown. The tankers in the convoy were all essentially similar, measuring approximately 140 meters in length, 7,000 tons in displacement, and built between 2006 and 2012. They were all subject to international sanctions and were trying to transport fuel from the Taganrog area to Crimea. In the battle record, it can be seen that the ships were sailing in formation and were systematically attacked by the Ukrainian FP-1 Mosquito drones, which achieved solid hits. It's also important to note that after each hit, another Mosquito from the swarm would fly over the struck ship to assess the damage. This strategy allows them to pace the attacks and concentrate them only on those targets that are still moving and operational. The Mosquitoes focused on attacking the bridges of each of the ships, which allows them to be left adrift, or at least out of control, giving more time for additional defender drones to arrive in the area and join the welcoming party for Ivan the pirate. But they weren't the only ships attacked during the night, as the operators from the first separate center also visited the ferry SKS-1, which was in the port of Kerch, and it got its share as well. These ships are key for moving vehicles with all kinds of supplies and also reinforcements, so they must be neutralized. Commander Magyar described the operation as a success, with results on an industrial scale, in what he called a full-fledged air-naval battle, since supposedly each of the ships carried an anti-aircraft defense platoon, but judging by the results, it seems they were sleeping when the Mosquito drones arrived. The battle for fuel supply to Crimea in the Sea of Azov continues, but the swarm's strategic sanctions are only getting tougher and tougher. This offshore battle was just one part of the actions that night, where Ukrainian forces reported hitting another 58 targets in the occupied territories. In addition to knocking out multiple substations in Crimea's energy infrastructure to further deepen the horde's electricity supply problems and thus put greater pressure on the region. The battle over fuel supplies to Crimea in the Sea of Azov continues. This operation comes after 2 attacks on 2 other tanker ships from the Shadow Fleet in the same area the previous day. It's remarkable how long-range attack drones are now capable of carrying out long-range raids over the sea, which is not simple, both because of the distance and the fact that the targets are constantly moving, making them difficult to track. It's strange that Ivan sent the convoy without a warship escort, which also tells us a lot about the confidence the Z admirals have in their ability to successfully face an aerial or naval drone attack. If you want to see additional content about the war in Ukraine, I invite you to visit our 2 new channels where we present information about the war in a different format. Don't forget to check them out. Remember to visit our Patreon, where for just $1 you'll have access to a large number of uncensored videos and documentaries. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.